Your brain is supposed to help you survive, supposed to process information and make decisions and keep you safe. But sometimes your brain turns against you, becomes the thing attacking you, creates thoughts that hurt you, generates anxiety from nothing, spirals into depression without reason, won't let you sleep, won't let you rest, won't stop running loops of worry and fear and self-hatred, and you can't escape it, can't run from your own mind, can't hide from your own thoughts. You're stuck inside a brain that's working against you, inside consciousness that feels like torture, and the worst part is this. Your brain is the only enemy you can never leave, can never get away from. It goes everywhere you go, because it is you. It's inside your skull, inside your head, creating your experience of reality. And when that brain decides you're the threat, when your own mind becomes hostile, there's nowhere to run. You're trapped, inside yourself, with an enemy you can't escape. And that's what it feels like when your brain is your enemy. If you're tired of people romanticizing mental illness or pretending your brain isn't actually attacking you, subscribe to Raw Existence right now. We don't tell you what you want to hear. We tell you what's true. Like this video, if you know what it's like to be sabotaged by your own thoughts, comment below and tell me what your brain does to you. Let's talk about the enemy inside nobody wants to admit is there. Your brain was supposed to help you, was designed to process threats and solve problems and keep you alive. That's what consciousness evolved for, to think through dangers, to plan ahead, to remember what hurt you so you avoid it. Your brain is supposed to be on your side, supposed to be the thing protecting you, the tool that helps you survive. But sometimes something breaks, something switches. Something goes wrong inside the machinery, and your brain stops protecting you, starts attacking you instead, starts creating threats where there aren't any, starts seeing danger in everything, starts running loops of worst-case scenarios, starts generating fear and anxiety and panic from absolutely nothing. And it's not your fault. You didn't choose this, didn't decide your brain should turn hostile, didn't ask for thoughts that hurt you, didn't want anxiety spirals or depression episodes or intrusive images that won't stop. Your brain just started doing it, started malfunctioning, started attacking instead of helping, started being enemy instead of ally, and you're stuck with it. Stuck inside a brain that's working against you, that's sabotaging you, that's hurting you from the inside, where you can't defend yourself. Most people don't understand this. Think you can just think positively. Just choose different thoughts. Just decide not to be anxious or depressed, like your brain is under your control, like you're choosing to suffer. But you're not. Your brain is doing this to you, without your permission, without your control, just generating thoughts and feelings and states that hurt you, and you can't stop it by deciding to. Can't think your way out of brain that's attacking you. Can't positive think your way out of hostile consciousness. Your brain is the thing doing the thinking. And when the thing doing the thinking is broken, thinking differently doesn't fix it. I'm watching the field behind my house right now, and the field doesn't have this problem, doesn't have brain that attacks it, doesn't have consciousness that turns hostile, just exists, just is field, without thought sabotaging it, without anxiety spiraling, without depression crushing it. Field just continues being field, without brain creating suffering from nothing, without mind generating pain autonomously. Field exists in peace, in quiet, in simple being, without the burden of consciousness that can malfunction, without the curse of brain that can become enemy. But you have consciousness, have brain, have mind that can turn against you, have thoughts that can spiral, have chemistry that can break, have neural pathways that can create suffering without external cause, have brain that's supposed to help but sometimes hurts instead. And when that happens, you're trapped. Trapped inside malfunctioning consciousness, inside hostile mind, inside brain that's attacking you, and there's no escape, because you can't leave your brain, can't step outside your mind, Can't get away from your own thoughts, just stuck inside with enemy forever, until brain decides to stop attacking, or until you get help fixing what's broken, or until you learn to live with brain that's partly enemy, partly working against you, partly trying to destroy you from inside. Have you felt it? Have you had your own brain turn on you, generate anxiety from nothing, create depression without cause, attack you with thoughts you didn't choose? Do you know what it feels like when the thing that's supposed to help you is hurting you instead? The thoughts come without permission, without you choosing them, without you wanting them, just appear in your consciousness. Intrusive, unwanted, disturbing, violent sometimes, sexual sometimes, scary always. Thoughts about hurting yourself, thoughts about hurting others, thoughts about terrible things happening, thoughts about worst possibilities, and you can't stop them, can't control them, can't choose not to have them. Your brain just generates them, autonomously, without your input, without your consent. Just creates thoughts that hurt you and puts them in your consciousness, and you have to experience them. And people who don't have this don't understand. Think you're choosing to think these things, think you want to think them, think you can just stop, just think about something else, just focus on positive. But you can't. The thoughts aren't chosen, aren't wanted, aren't under your control. Your brain is creating them, your mind is generating them, and you're just experiencing them, watching them appear, trying to ignore them, trying to push them away. But they keep coming, keep appearing, keep hurting you, because your brain won't stop making them. And the thoughts feel real, feel like they mean something, feel like maybe you want what they're showing, maybe you're dangerous. Maybe you're a terrible person. Maybe the thoughts reveal who you really are. And that's how brain attacks you, makes you doubt yourself, makes you scared of yourself, makes you think intrusive thoughts are your actual thoughts, your real desires, your true nature, when actually they're just brain malfunction, just consciousness creating noise, just mind generating random disturbing content without meaning. But they feel meaningful, feel important, feel like truth about you, and that feeling destroys you, makes you hate yourself, makes you fear yourself, makes you think you're a monster because of thoughts you didn't choose to have. I'm watching wind blow through trees right now, and wind doesn't have intrusive thoughts, doesn't have brain-generating disturbing content, just blows, just moves, just exists without consciousness creating suffering. Wind doesn't worry about what it's thinking, doesn't fear its own mind, doesn't have to manage thoughts it didn't choose, just is, just continues, without the burden of brain that creates unwanted thoughts, without the curse of consciousness that can attack itself with its own content, and you can't make the thoughts stop, can't will them away, can't think them into not existing. Your brain creates them faster than you can dismiss them. Creates more when you try to suppress them. The more you fight intrusive thoughts, the more they come. The more you try not to think something, the more you think it, because your brain is generating them. And you can't control what your brain generates, can only control how you respond, can only learn that thoughts aren't you, aren't choices, aren't truth, just brain creating content, just mind making noise. Just consciousness being hostile. And the thoughts don't mean what they feel like they mean, don't reveal what they seem to reveal, just exist, just hurt, just keep coming, without your permission, without your control, without you being able to stop them. That's what it's like. When your brain creates thoughts that destroy you, when your mind generates content that hurts you, when consciousness attacks you with itself. Can you feel it? Do you have thoughts you didn't choose, intrusive images that won't stop, ideas that horrify you that your brain keeps showing you? Do you know what it's like when your own thoughts are enemy, when your mind creates content that makes you hate yourself? The anxiety starts from nothing, from thought about something that might happen, might go wrong, might be dangerous, just possibility, just maybe, just what if, and your brain takes that possibility and runs with it. creates scenario, creates story, creates detailed vision of everything going wrong, and then creates worse scenario, worse possibility, worse outcome, and keeps going, keeps building, keeps creating more terrible possibilities, more things to worry about, more ways it could all fall apart, until you're paralyzed, until you can't breathe, until your chest hurts and your heart races and you can't think about anything except all the ways everything could be terrible. And you didn't choose this, didn't decide to spiral, didn't want anxiety. Your brain just did it, took small worry and amplified it, took minor concern and catastrophized it, took possibility and made it feel inevitable, made it feel like it's already happening, made it feel like you have to prepare for disaster that probably isn't coming. Your brain created the spiral, created the anxiety, created the panic, without you choosing any of it. Just happened, autonomously, inside your head, inside consciousness that's supposed to help you but instead creates suffering from nothing. And once spiral starts, it's hard to stop. Your brain is in threat mode, is seeing danger everywhere, is creating worst-case scenarios automatically, and trying to calm down doesn't work. Trying to rationalize doesn't help. Because your brain isn't being rational, is being protective, is trying to prepare you for threats, except the threats aren't real, aren't actually there. Just possibilities your brain created, just scenarios your mind invented, just anxiety your consciousness generated. But your body responds like threats are real, like danger is present, like you need to fight or flee, when actually you just need your brain to stop creating threats that don't exist. I knew someone whose brain did this constantly, every day, multiple times. Small thing would trigger spiral, worry would become catastrophe, possibility would become certainty of disaster. Their brain would create detailed visions of everything going wrong, their job ending, their relationships failing, their health collapsing, their life falling apart, none of it based on reality, all of it created by brain in threat mode. And they couldn't stop it. Couldn't talk themselves down, couldn't rationalize it away, just had to wait for spiral to end, for brain to calm down, for anxiety to pass, and it always passed, eventually. But while it was happening, they were trapped, inside their head, inside spiral their brain created, inside anxiety their mind generated, suffering from threats that didn't exist except in their consciousness. And anxiety like this isn't weakness, isn't failure, isn't choice, is brain malfunction, is consciousness attacking itself, is mind creating suffering autonomously, and you can't just decide not to be anxious, can't just relax, can't just calm down. Your brain is doing this to you, and brain doesn't calm down because you tell it to, needs intervention, needs help, needs medication sometimes. Needs therapy to retrain responses, needs treatment for malfunction, because your brain is broken, is attacking you, is creating anxiety from nothing, and that's not your fault, not your weakness, not your failure, just your brain being enemy, just your consciousness being hostile, just your mind sabotaging you from inside, where you can't defend yourself. The field doesn't spiral into anxiety, doesn't create catastrophic scenarios, doesn't worry about possibilities, just exists, just is, just continues being field without consciousness that can attack itself with anxiety, without brain that generates threat from nothing. Field lives in present, in actual, in what is, without mind creating suffering about what might be, and you can't be like field. Can't turn off consciousness, can't stop brain from creating scenarios, can only manage it, can only get help for it, can only learn to recognize when brain is spiraling and try to interrupt it, try to ground yourself. Try to remind yourself that thoughts aren't reality, that possibilities aren't certainties, that anxiety is brain malfunction, not actual danger, and sometimes that helps, sometimes. But sometimes it doesn't, Sometimes brain wins. Sometimes anxiety spiral takes you. Sometimes you just have to wait it out, have to endure it, have to survive it, until brain stops attacking, until consciousness calms, until mind releases you from suffering it created. Do you spiral? Does your brain create catastrophes from nothing? Do you know what it's like when small worry becomes panic, when possibility feels like certainty of disaster, when your own consciousness generates anxiety that paralyzes you? Depression isn't sadness, isn't grief, isn't feeling down. Is brain chemistry malfunction? Is neurotransmitters not working right? Is serotonin and dopamine levels broken? Is your brain betraying you at chemical level, creating state of nothing, of emptiness, of complete absence of feeling, of not caring, not wanting, not being able to feel anything at all? And you can't think your way out of chemistry, can't decide to have working neurotransmitters, can't choose to fix brain chemicals through willpower. Your brain is broken. At physical level, at chemical level, and broken brain creates depression, creates emptiness, creates state where nothing matters and nothing feels good, and you can't remember why you're supposed to care about being alive. And people who haven't experienced this don't understand. Think depression is just being sad, think you can cheer up, think you can think positively, think you can just do things that make you happy. But there is no happy when brain chemistry is broken. There's just nothing, just flat, just empty, just complete absence of positive feeling. You can do things you used to love and feel nothing. Can be with people you care about and feel nothing. Can experience things that should be good and feel absolutely nothing. Because your brain isn't producing the chemicals that create good feelings, isn't working right, isn't functioning, just broken, and you're stuck experiencing existence through broken brain, through malfunctioning consciousness, through chemistry that's betraying you, and depression makes everything hard, makes getting out of bed hard, makes showering hard, makes eating hard, makes basic survival tasks feel impossible. Not because you're weak, not because you're lazy, because your brain isn't giving you the chemicals you need to feel motivated, to feel like things matter, to feel like effort is worth it. Your brain is telling you nothing matters, nothing is worth doing, nothing will feel good anyway. And fighting that is fighting your own chemistry, fighting your own brain, fighting enemy inside your skull that's creating the emptiness you're drowning in. I'm sitting on this porch. Same porch I sit on every day, and porch doesn't get depressed, doesn't have brain chemistry that can break, just exists. Just is porch, just continues being porch without neurotransmitters that can malfunction. Porch doesn't have to fight emptiness, doesn't have to survive brain betraying it, just is, just exists, without consciousness that can create depression, without brain that can break at chemical level. And you can't be like porch. Can't exist without brain chemistry, can't continue without neurotransmitters, need brain to work right to feel like living is worth it, and when brain stops working right, living feels pointless, feels empty, feels like just continuing without reason, without feeling, without anything making it worthwhile, just existing, just surviving, just going through motions while brain creates emptiness inside you. And this isn't your fault, isn't weakness, isn't failure, is brain malfunction, is chemistry broken, is physical problem in physical organ. And sometimes physical problems need physical solutions, need medication, need brain chemistry adjusted artificially, need antidepressants to do what brain should do naturally, but can't. And that's okay. That's necessary sometimes. That's treating broken brain with medicine that helps brain work better. That's not weakness. That's treatment. That's fixing malfunction. That's helping brain stop betraying you, stop creating depression, stop generating emptiness. And if medication helps, then medication is right. If brain chemistry needs adjustment, then adjusting it is wise. If your brain is enemy, then getting help against enemy is survival. Depression is your brain chemistry attacking you, creating emptiness, generating state of not caring, making everything feel pointless. And you can't fix that by thinking differently. Can't cure chemical imbalance with positive thoughts. need actual intervention, need help, need treatment, need brain chemistry to be fixed so you can feel things again, so effort feels worth it, so life feels like more than just empty continuation. And getting that help isn't giving up, is fighting, is refusing to let broken brain win, is surviving enemy inside your skull, is living despite brain betraying you, is continuing even when chemistry creates emptiness. That's strength. That's fighting enemy you can't escape. That's surviving brain that's trying to convince you nothing matters, when actually your brain is just broken and making you feel like nothing matters, which isn't same as nothing actually mattering. Have you felt it? The emptiness, the nothing, the complete absence of caring or wanting or feeling? Have you experienced brain chemistry betraying you, creating depression, making everything feel pointless? Do you know what it's like when your own brain generates emptiness you have to survive? Your brain shows you things you don't want to see, creates images you didn't ask for, generates scenarios that horrify you, without permission, without warning, without you having any control over it, just puts disturbing content in your consciousness, makes you watch it, makes you experience it, makes you think maybe these thoughts mean something about who you are, when actually they're just brain malfunction, just consciousness creating noise, just mind generating random terrible content because something in the wiring is wrong. And the thoughts can be anything, can be violent, can be sexual, can be blasphemous if you're religious, can be about hurting people you love, can be about hurting yourself, can be about terrible things happening, can be images, can be urges, can be ideas that make you feel like monster, and your brain just creates them, just shows them to you, just makes you experience them, without your consent, without your control, without you being able to stop them from appearing. And they feel real, feel meaningful, feel like maybe they reveal something terrible about you, when actually they reveal nothing except that your brain generates unwanted content, that's all. That's what they mean, just brain creating thoughts, just consciousness making noise. Nothing more. But knowing that doesn't make them easier, doesn't make them stop, doesn't make them feel less disturbing. You still have to experience them, still have to watch your brain show you things you hate, still have to endure consciousness attacking you with content that makes you doubt yourself, makes you fear yourself, makes you think you might be dangerous or terrible or wrong in fundamental way. And you're not. You're just experiencing brain malfunction, just dealing with consciousness that generates unwanted thoughts, just stuck inside mind that creates disturbing content without permission. That's what intrusive thoughts are, that's what they mean, just brain being broken, just mind being hostile, just consciousness attacking itself. I'm watching clouds move across sky right now, and clouds don't have intrusive thoughts, don't have brains showing them disturbing content, just exist, just move, just are clouds, without consciousness that can generate unwanted images, without mind that creates thoughts that horrify. Clouds just drift, just continue, just are, without the burden of brain that attacks with its own content, without curse of consciousness that can disturb itself. And you have that curse, have that burden, have brain that creates thoughts you don't want, have mind that shows you content that hurts you, have consciousness that attacks you with itself, and you can't stop it completely, can't control what brain generates, can only learn to recognize intrusive thoughts for what they are, which is meaningless noise, not truth, not desires, not who you are, just brain creating content, just consciousness making noise, just mind being broken in this specific way. And everyone has intrusive thoughts sometimes. Everyone's brain generates unwanted content occasionally, but for some people it's constant. For some people, brain does this all the time, creates disturbing thoughts continuously, shows terrible images repeatedly, generates content that makes you hate yourself over and over. And that's when it becomes disorder. When brain malfunction becomes constant attack. When consciousness generates so much unwanted content, you can't function. When mind creates so many intrusive thoughts, you can't trust yourself, can't feel safe from yourself, can't believe you're a good person. When brain keeps showing you terrible things, that's OCD, that's intrusive thought disorder, that's brain being enemy constantly. And it needs treatment, needs therapy, needs sometimes medication, needs help to make brain generate less unwanted content, to make consciousness attack itself less, to make mind create fewer thoughts that hurt you. The thoughts aren't you, aren't your desires, aren't your truth. Just brain creating content, just mind making noise, just consciousness being hostile, and you can survive them, can learn to let them pass, can recognize them as brain malfunction, not personal truth, can get help managing them, can treat the disorder, can make brain attack you less. Not because you're weak for needing help, because brain is broken and broken things need fixing. Because consciousness is hostile, and hostile enemies need intervention. Because mind is generating thoughts that hurt you, and you deserve help stopping that. Deserve treatment for brain that attacks you. Deserve relief from consciousness that creates suffering. Do you have them? The thoughts you didn't choose, the images that horrify you, the content your brain shows you without permission. Do you know what it's like when your own consciousness creates thoughts that make you doubt yourself, that make you fear yourself, that attack you from inside where you can't defend? Your brain gets stuck, gets caught in loop, thinking same thoughts over and over, replaying same scenario, analyzing same problem, going over same conversation again and again and again, without stopping, without resolving, without reaching conclusion, just stuck, repeating, looping. Your brain running same pattern continuously, creating groove, creating rut, creating cycle you can't break out of. And you know you're doing it. No, you're stuck. No repeating thoughts won't help, won't solve anything, won't change anything, but you can't stop. Brain won't stop. Mind keeps looping. Consciousness keeps repeating, without your control, without you being able to break cycle. And rumination feels productive, feels like you're working on problem. Feels like if you just think about it enough, you'll figure it out. You'll find solution. You'll understand what happened. You'll know what to do, but you won't. Because rumination isn't problem solving, is just repetition, is just brain stuck, is just consciousness looping without progress. Thinking same thoughts doesn't create new thoughts. Repeating same analysis doesn't create new insight. Going over same scenario doesn't change what happened. Just keeps you stuck, keeps you suffering, keeps you trapped in loop brain created. In cycle, mind won't stop. In pattern, consciousness keeps repeating, and you can't think your way out of rumination, can't use thinking to stop thinking, can't mentally escape mental loop. Your brain is the thing creating the loop. Can't use broken thing to fix broken thing. Can't use stuck brain to unstick stuck brain. Need intervention from outside the loop. Need to interrupt pattern. Need to break cycle with action, with distraction. With something that forces brain out of groove it's stuck in, because brain won't stop on its own, will just keep looping, keep repeating, keep ruminating, until something breaks the cycle. I knew someone who would ruminate for hours, about conversations they had, about things they said, about how people reacted, going over every detail, analyzing every word, replaying every moment, looking for what they did wrong, what they should have said, how people judged them. And they knew they were stuck, knew rumination wasn't helping, knew they were just hurting themselves by repeating thoughts. But they couldn't stop. Brain wouldn't stop. Mind kept looping, and they'd lose hours to it. Hours of just thinking same thoughts, going over same conversation, stuck in pattern brain created, suffering from consciousness that wouldn't stop repeating. And rumination creates suffering, creates anxiety about things that are over, creates regret about things you can't change, creates worry about what people think, creates false problems by overanalyzing real situations, creates pain from replaying painful moments. Your brain takes something that happened and makes you experience it again, and again, and again. until the memory of thing feels worse than thing was, until you've thought about it so much you can't remember what actually happened versus what you've created through rumination. Your brain distorting reality by repeating it, creating suffering by looping it, making you experience pain continuously by refusing to let go. The field doesn't ruminate, doesn't replay yesterday, doesn't analyze what happened, doesn't go over same scenarios repeatedly. Just exists, just continues, just is field today without brain getting stuck on field yesterday, without consciousness looping on past events, without mind creating suffering by repeating what's over. Field just is. In present, in now, in what's happening currently, without brain that can get stuck, without mind that can loop, without consciousness that can ruminate itself into suffering, and you need to break the loops. Need to interrupt rumination when it starts. Need to recognize when brain is stuck and force it elsewhere, not by thinking different thoughts, by doing something, by moving, by changing what you're doing, by interrupting pattern with action, because rumination is brain malfunction. Is consciousness stuck? Is mind attacking you by refusing to move forward, and you can't fix it by thinking? Can only fix it by doing, by breaking cycle brain created, by forcing consciousness out of loop, by making mind stop repeating even though mind doesn't want to stop, even though brain wants to keep ruminating, because rumination feels productive when it's actually destructive, feels helpful when it's actually harmful, feels like solving when it's actually suffering. Do you ruminate? Does your brain get stuck in loops? Do you replay conversations, analyze interactions, go over scenarios repeatedly? Do you know what it's like when your mind won't stop repeating? When consciousness gets caught in cycle? When brain creates suffering by refusing to let go? Your brain sabotages you, creates patterns that hurt you, makes you do things that make your life worse, not because you want to fail, not because you're trying to hurt yourself, because your brain has learned patterns, has created habits, has built neural pathways that lead to self-destruction, and you follow them without meaning to, without choosing to, just automatically doing things that sabotage you because your brain learned to do them and now does them without your conscious choice. And self-sabotage looks like procrastination, like avoiding things that would help you, like choosing short-term relief over long-term good, like pushing people away when you need them, like quitting when things get hard, like convincing yourself you can't do things you could do, like creating problems where there weren't problems, like destroying good things before they can be taken away. Your brain creating patterns that protect you from imagined threats by creating actual harm, sabotaging you to save you, hurting you to help you, making your life worse, trying to keep you safe from worse that isn't actually coming. And you know you're doing it, can see patterns, can recognize self-sabotage when it's happening. But knowing doesn't stop it. Awareness doesn't break patterns brain created. Your brain runs programs, follows pathways, does learned behaviors. And once pathways are strong enough, brain follows them automatically, without your conscious input, without you choosing, just does what it learned to do, what it's practiced doing, what neural pathways make easy, and self-sabotage pathways get strong. Get practiced, get easy for brain to follow. So brain keeps following them, keeps sabotaging you, keeps creating patterns that hurt you without you being able to stop it just by knowing it's happening. I'm watching grass grow right now, and grass doesn't sabotage itself, doesn't create patterns that hurt it, doesn't avoid growing, doesn't push away sun, doesn't quit being grass when being grass gets hard, just grows, just continues, just does what grass does, without brain creating self-destructive patterns, without consciousness sabotaging itself, without mind making things worse, trying to make things better. Grass just exists, just functions, just continues, without the burden of brain that can learn to hurt itself, without curse of consciousness that can create self-sabotage patterns. And breaking self-sabotage patterns requires rewiring brain, requires creating new neural pathways, requires practicing different responses until different responses become automatic, requires therapy often, requires awareness plus action plus repetition plus time, requires recognizing pattern, choosing different response, repeating different response until brain learns new pattern. And that's hard. That's fighting against established neural pathways. That's trying to rewire brain while brain keeps running old programs. That's conscious effort against automatic patterns. And automatic usually wins. Usually brain follows established pathways. Usually self-sabotage continues. Unless you intervene, unless you get help, unless you commit to rewiring brain that learned to hurt you. And self-sabotage isn't your fault, isn't weakness, isn't you trying to fail. Is brain protecting you wrong way? Is consciousness trying to keep you safe by keeping you from trying? Is mind creating patterns that prevent failure by preventing success? Is brain that learned hurt is safer than hope? Disappointment is safer than expectation. Alone is safer than connection. Failing is safer than risking success. And brain follows what it learned, protects you how it learned to protect, sabotages you, trying to save you. And that's not your fault. That's brain doing what brains do, which is follow learned patterns. Create automatic responses. Run established programs. Your brain just learned wrong programs. Created harmful patterns. Built pathways that hurt you. And now brain follows them, and you're stuck dealing with consequences of brain sabotaging you, trying to help you. Do you sabotage yourself? Do you follow patterns that hurt you? Do you avoid things that would help? Do you push people away? Do you quit when things get hard? Do you create problems trying to prevent problems? Do you know what it's like when your brain protects you by hurting you? You need sleep. Your body needs rest. Your brain needs to shut down, to process, to recover, to reset. But your brain won't shut off, won't stop thinking, won't stop worrying, won't stop creating scenarios and replaying conversations and generating anxiety and running through tomorrow's problems. Your brain just keeps going, keeps thinking, keeps working when you need it to stop, when you need quiet, when you need to sleep. And you can't force brain to stop, can't will yourself to sleep, can't think yourself into not thinking. Your brain is the thing that needs to stop, and brain won't stop because you tell it to, won't shut off because you need it to. Just keeps running, keeps thinking, keeps being active, while you lie there, exhausted, desperate for sleep, stuck inside brain that won't give you rest. And lack of sleep makes everything worse, makes anxiety worse, makes depression worse, makes intrusive thoughts worse, makes rumination worse, makes self-sabotage worse, makes every brain malfunction worse, because brain needs sleep to function right, needs rest to regulate chemistry, needs recovery to process emotions. And when brain doesn't get sleep, it breaks more, functions worse, creates more problems, attacks you harder. Your brain won't let you sleep, and not sleeping makes brain more hostile, more broken, more likely to attack you. It's cycle, it's trap, it's brain creating conditions that make brain worse, that make you suffer more, that make enemy inside stronger, and you try everything. Try relaxation techniques, try meditation, try breathing exercises, try no screens before bed, try routine, try darkness, try quiet, try everything you're supposed to try. And sometimes it helps, but sometimes nothing helps. Sometimes brain just won't stop, just keeps thinking, just refuses to shut down, and you lie there for hours, exhausted but awake, tired but thinking, needing sleep but unable to achieve it, because your brain is enemy, is keeping you from what you need, is sabotaging your rest, is making you suffer by refusing to stop attacking long enough for you to sleep. I'm sitting on this porch as sun sets, and soon I'll go inside, and field will rest, will be quiet, will exist in darkness without consciousness that refuses to stop. Field doesn't lie awake, doesn't have brain that won't shut off, doesn't suffer from thoughts that prevent sleep. Field just exists through night, in quiet, in stillness, in rest, without the burden of mind that keeps working when body needs rest, without curse of brain that attacks you when you're trying to sleep. Feel just is. Through day, through night, without consciousness that can refuse to let you rest. And sometimes sleep requires intervention, requires medication, requires something that forces brain to shut down when brain won't shut down naturally. And that's okay. That's necessary sometimes. That's treating brain malfunction with medicine that helps brain do what it's supposed to do, which is let you sleep. Sleep medication isn't weakness, is treatment. Is helping brain stop being enemy long enough for you to rest, is forcing brain to give you what you need when brain refuses to give it voluntarily. And if that's what you need, then that's what's right. If your brain won't let you sleep, then making brain let you sleep through medication is wise, is necessary, is survival, is refusing to let enemy inside destroy you by preventing rest. Sleep is when brain should stop attacking, should give you peace, should let you recover from day of brain being hostile. But sometimes brain attacks hardest at night, creates worst anxiety when you're trying to sleep, generates most intrusive thoughts when you're lying in darkness, ruminates most intensely when you need quiet. Brain knowing you're vulnerable, knowing you can't escape, knowing you're trapped trying to sleep while brain refuses to let you. That's enemy. That's brain being enemy. That's consciousness attacking you when you're most helpless, when you most need relief, when you most need brain to stop. And brain won't, just keeps attacking, keeps thinking, keeps making sleep impossible until you give up on sleep, or until exhaustion finally overwhelms brain, or until medication forces brain to stop, or until morning comes and you face day without having slept, without having rested, without having escaped brain that kept you awake all night, kept you suffering, kept you trapped in thoughts. While body desperately needed sleep, brain refused to allow. Does your brain do this? Keep you awake, refuse to let you sleep, generate thoughts when you need quiet, create anxiety when you need rest? Do you know what it's like when enemy inside won't give you peace? When brain attacks hardest at night? When consciousness refuses to let you escape into sleep? When your brain is enemy, you can't trust your thoughts, can't believe what your mind tells you, can't accept your own thinking as reliable, because your brain lies, creates false narratives, generates anxiety about things that aren't threats, creates depression about life that isn't as hopeless as brain makes it feel, shows you intrusive thoughts that don't mean what they seem to mean, ruminates on problems that aren't as big as brain makes them, sabotages you, claiming to protect you, and you can't trust any of it. Can't trust brain that's attacking you to tell you truth. Can't trust hostile consciousness to give you accurate information. Can't trust enemy inside to be honest with you. And that's disorienting. That's destabilizing. That's not knowing what's real. What's brain malfunction? What's actual problem? What's manufactured anxiety? What's genuine concern? What's intrusive thought? What's real thought? What's you? What's disorder? What's truth? What's brain lying? You can't tell, can't distinguish, can't trust yourself to know difference. Because the thoughts all feel real, all feel true, all feel important, all feel like they mean something. And you can't trust that feeling, can't trust brain that creates that feeling, can't trust consciousness that makes lies feel like truth. And this makes decisions hard, makes knowing what you want hard, makes understanding yourself hard, because you can't trust what you think you want, what you think you feel, what you think is important. Could be real, could be brain malfunction, could be actual preference, could be anxiety creating false priority, could be you, could be disorder, and you don't know, can't tell, can't trust brain to inform you accurately, can't trust thoughts to reflect reality, can't trust consciousness to show you truth, because brain is enemy, is hostile, is attacking you, and enemies lie, deceive, manipulate, create false information, and your brain does that to you, about you, constantly. I'm watching birds right now, and birds trust their instincts, trust their brains, Follow what their consciousness tells them, without questioning, without doubting, without wondering if their thoughts are reliable. Birds just trust. Just follow. Just act on what brain says. Because bird brains aren't hostile, aren't enemies, aren't attacking birds, just helping, just functioning, just doing what brains are supposed to do, which is provide accurate information and help survival. And you can't trust your brain like that. Can't follow thoughts automatically. Can't trust consciousness, to be honest, because your brain isn't helping, is attacking, is hostile, is enemy that lies to you about reality. That creates false information. That makes you doubt what's real. That makes everything uncertain, because you can't trust the thing doing the thinking to think accurately. And learning what thoughts to trust requires help, requires therapy, requires someone outside your brain to help you distinguish between real concerns and manufactured anxiety, between genuine thoughts and intrusive thoughts, between actual you and disordered you, between truth and brain malfunction. You can't do this alone. Can't trust brain to tell you what's brain malfunction, like asking liar if they're lying, like trusting enemy to tell you they're enemy. Doesn't work. Need outside perspective. Need help distinguishing. Need treatment to learn what thoughts are reliable and what thoughts are brain attacking you. And that's not weakness. That's wisdom. That's recognizing you can't trust hostile brain. That you need help managing consciousness that lies. That you need intervention to distinguish truth from brain-generated false information. Not being able to trust your thoughts is living in uncertainty, is questioning everything, is never being sure what's real, what matters, what you actually want versus what brain makes you think you want, what's genuine versus what's manufactured, what's you versus what's disorder. And that uncertainty is exhausting, is destabilizing, is living without solid ground, without reliable information, without being able to trust yourself, because yourself is compromised, is hostile, is enemy, is brain that attacks you, and you have to live inside that, have to make decisions with unreliable information, have to navigate life not knowing what thoughts to believe, what feelings to trust, what consciousness is showing you that's real versus what consciousness is showing you that's attack, that's lie. That's brain being enemy. And you just have to learn, have to practice, have to get help, have to distinguish, have to survive brain you can't trust, have to live despite consciousness being hostile, have to continue even though you can't trust your own thoughts. That's what it's like. When brain is enemy, when thoughts are unreliable, when you can't trust yourself, can you relate? Do you question your thoughts? Wonder what's real? Struggle to trust what your brain tells you? Do you know what it's like when your own consciousness lies to you? When you can't trust yourself because yourself is enemy? Sometimes your brain is broken enough that it needs medication, needs chemistry adjusted, needs antidepressants or anti-anxiety medication or mood stabilizers or antipsychotics or whatever specific malfunction requires. And that's not weakness, that's treatment, that's fixing broken organ. Your brain is organ, physical thing, made of tissue and chemistry and electrical signals, and sometimes that physical thing breaks, chemistry gets wrong, electrical signals malfunction, and when physical thing breaks it needs physical treatment, needs medication, needs adjustment from outside, needs help being less broken. And people judge medication, think you should be able to fix brain through willpower, through positive thinking, through just trying harder, like brain chemistry responds to effort, like neurotransmitters fix themselves if you just want it enough. But they don't. Broken chemistry stays broken. Malfunctioning brain keeps malfunctioning. Until something intervenes, until medication adjusts what's wrong, until brain gets help it can't give itself. And that help is medication, is chemistry adjustment, is physical treatment for physical problem, and medication isn't giving up, is fighting, is refusing to let broken brain win, is getting help against enemy you can't defeat alone. Your brain is inside you, Is you, can't escape it, can't fight it alone, need help, need intervention, need medication to help brain be less hostile, less broken, less enemy. And getting that help is brave, is wise, is survival, is refusing to suffer unnecessarily, because people judge medication, because you think you should handle it alone, because you believe medication is weakness. It's not. Medication is tool, is treatment, is help for organ that can't help itself. I knew someone who resisted medication for years, thought they should handle depression without drugs, thought medication meant they were weak, thought they could fix brain chemistry through exercise and diet and positive thinking, and they tried. They tried everything, and stayed depressed, stayed suffering, stayed imprisoned in brain chemistry that was broken, until finally they tried medication. And it helped. Actually helped, adjusted chemistry enough that they could feel things again, could have energy, could care about living. Medication didn't fix everything, didn't make them perfect, but made brain less broken, made consciousness less hostile, made living possible again, and they regretted waiting, regretted suffering for years, because they thought medication was giving up, when actually medication was fighting back. And medication isn't magic, doesn't fix everything instantly. Sometimes takes time to work. Sometimes takes trying different medications to find what works. Sometimes requires adjusting doses. Sometimes helps a lot. Sometimes helps a little. Sometimes doesn't help at all. But medication is trying, is attempting to fix broken brain, is intervening against hostile consciousness, is helping organ that can't help itself. And trying is better than suffering without trying. Getting help is better than enduring broken brain because you think you should handle it alone. Taking medication is better than staying imprisoned in malfunctioning consciousness because people judge treatment. The field doesn't need medication, doesn't have chemistry that can break, doesn't have neurotransmitters that malfunction, just exists, just is field, without brain that can need adjustment, without consciousness that can require intervention. Field just continues, just functions, without treatment, without help, without anything, just being field. And you're not field. You're human with brain, with chemistry, with neurotransmitters, with organ that can break. And when organ breaks, treating it is right, is necessary, is what you do. You don't refuse treatment for broken heart. Don't avoid medication for malfunctioning kidneys. Don't tough out broken pancreas. You treat broken organs. And brain is organ. And when brain is broken, treating it is wise, is survival, is refusing to let broken organ destroy you. Medication helps brain be less enemy, helps chemistry work better, helps neurotransmitters function, helps consciousness be less hostile, doesn't make brain perfect, doesn't cure everything, but helps, makes brain less broken, makes living more possible, makes enemy inside weaker. And that's enough. That's worth it. That's reason to try medication, to accept help, to treat broken brain instead of suffering with broken brain because you think you should handle it alone. You shouldn't. You don't have to. Broken brain needs help, and medication is help, is valid help, is real help, is treatment that works for many people. And if it works for you, then taking it is wise. If medication helps brain be less enemy, then medication is right, is necessary, is survival tool against enemy inside you can't escape, can't defeat alone, can only manage. With help, with treatment, with medication when medication is what broken brain needs. Have you tried medication? Does it help? Does it make brain less hostile? Does it adjust chemistry enough that living feels possible? Or have you avoided medication, thought you should handle it alone, suffered unnecessarily because you believed medication is weakness, when actually medication is tool against enemy inside? Therapy isn't just talking, isn't just venting, isn't just having someone listen, is training, is retraining brain, is teaching consciousness new patterns, is learning to interrupt brain when it attacks, to recognize distortions, to challenge false thoughts, to break rumination loops, to stop self-sabotage patterns, to manage anxiety spirals, to cope with depression, to handle intrusive thoughts. Therapy is learning to fight back against brain, against hostile consciousness, against enemy inside, and fighting back requires training, requires practice, requires help from someone who knows how brains work, how consciousness attacks, how to intervene against hostile mind, and therapy gives you tools, gives you techniques, gives you skills for managing brain that's enemy, for recognizing when brain is attacking versus when thoughts are reliable, for interrupting patterns brain creates automatically, for challenging distortions brain generates, for grounding yourself when anxiety spirals, for breaking rumination loops, for managing intrusive thoughts, for fighting self-sabotage. Therapy teaches you how to manage hostile brain, how to survive consciousness that attacks you, how to live with enemy inside, and managing is better than just suffering. Fighting back is better than just enduring. Having tools is better than being helpless against brain malfunction. And therapy isn't quick fix, isn't instant solution. Takes time, takes repetition, takes practice. Brain learned patterns over years, created neural pathways through repetition, built automatic responses through practice, and changing that requires creating new patterns, new pathways, new automatic responses, and that takes time, takes repeating new responses until brain learns them, until consciousness follows them automatically, until mind stops attacking and starts helping. Therapy is slow, is gradual, is work. But work that helps, that creates change, that trains brain to be less enemy, that teaches consciousness to be less hostile, that helps mind attack you less. And slow progress is still progress, gradual improvement is still improvement, learning to manage is still learning. And managing hostile brain is survival, is fighting back, is refusing to let enemy inside win. I'm watching grass bend in wind, and grass doesn't need therapy, doesn't need training, doesn't need to learn to manage itself. Just exists, just continues, just is grass bending in wind without consciousness that attacks itself, without brain that needs retraining, without mind that needs intervention. Grass just is, and you're not grass. You're human, with brain that can malfunction, with consciousness that can attack, with mind that needs help managing itself. And getting that help through therapy is wise, is necessary for some people, is survival tool, is training for fighting brain that's enemy. And you deserve that training, deserve those tools, deserve help learning to manage hostile consciousness, to survive brain that attacks you, to live despite enemy inside. And therapy works differently for different people. Some types help some people, other types help others. CBT helps many, DBT helps some, ACT helps others, psychodynamic helps some, EMDR helps trauma. Different approaches for different brains, different tools for different malfunctions, and finding what works requires trying. Requires different therapists sometimes, different approaches, different techniques until you find what helps your specific brain, your specific malfunction, your specific enemy. And that's okay, that's process, that's finding right tools for your situation, for your brain, for your consciousness, for your mind that attacks you in specific ways, that require specific interventions. Therapy isn't weakness, is strength, is fighting back, is refusing to let brain attack you without defending yourself, is learning to manage enemy you can't escape, is training for surviving hostile consciousness, is getting help for brain that won't help itself. And that help is valuable, is necessary for many, is difference between suffering helplessly and suffering with tools. Between being attacked without defense and fighting back, between brain being enemy you endure and brain being enemy you manage. Therapy helps you manage, helps you fight, helps you survive. And surviving brain that's enemy is victory, is strength, is refusing to give up, is living despite consciousness being hostile, despite brain attacking you, despite mind being enemy. That's surviving, that's fighting, that's winning against enemy inside. With help, with training, with therapy teaching you how. Have you tried therapy? Does it help? Does it give you tools for managing hostile brain, for fighting back against consciousness that attacks? Or have you avoided it? Thought you should handle brain alone? Suffered without help when help exists? When training is available? When therapy could teach you to fight enemy inside? Here's the hard truth. For some people, brain never stops being partly enemy, never completely heals, never becomes fully ally, just stays partly hostile, partly broken, partly attacking, even with medication, even with therapy, even with all the tools and all the treatment and all the work. Brain just stays somewhat enemy, stays somewhat broken, stays needing management forever. And you have to learn to live with that, have to accept that brain won't fully heal, will always be somewhat hostile, will always need management, will always be partly enemy. And that's not giving up. That's accepting reality. That's understanding what you're dealing with, what you're living with, what you have to manage for rest of your life. And living with hostile brain means constant work, means managing symptoms daily, means taking medication, means using therapy tools, means recognizing when brain is attacking and interrupting it, means fighting back constantly, means never fully relaxing because brain is always partly enemy, always watching for attack. Always ready to spiral or ruminate or generate intrusive thoughts or create anxiety or sabotage you or keep you from sleeping. Brain is always there. Always potential threat. Always needing management. And you have to do that management. Have to fight that fight. Have to survive that enemy every day, forever, until you die. And that's exhausting. That's hard. That's living on guard against yourself, against your own brain, against consciousness that can attack any time. That's never feeling completely safe because threat is inside you, is brain you can't escape. And some days you manage well. Use tools effectively, keep brain from attacking much, live relatively peacefully with hostile consciousness. And some days brain wins, attacks hard, creates suffering you can't prevent, generates anxiety or depression or intrusive thoughts or rumination that overwhelms all your tools. And you just have to survive it, just have to endure it, just have to get through it. Knowing brain might attack like this again, might overwhelm you again, might win again, because brain is enemy, and enemies attack, and you can't escape enemy inside. I'm sitting on this porch. Tomorrow I'll sit here again, and field will be here, being field, without brain that attacks it, without consciousness that's enemy, without mind that creates suffering. Field just continues, just exists, just is field tomorrow like field today, without the burden of managing hostile brain, without the exhaustion of fighting enemy inside, without the reality of living with consciousness that's partly enemy forever. Field just is. And you have to be human with brain, with consciousness, with mind that can be hostile, that can attack, that needs managing forever. And that's harder than being field, harder than existing without consciousness, harder than being without brain that can malfunction. You have to manage, have to fight, have to survive every day with enemy inside that never fully goes away, that always needs management, that's always partly threat. And this isn't hopeless, isn't saying give up, is saying understand what you're dealing with. Understand brain might always be partly enemy, might always need management, might never fully heal. And that's okay. That's survivable. That's millions of people living with managed brain disorders, living with hostile consciousness that needs daily management, living with enemy inside that requires constant vigilance, and living, actually living, having lives, having relationships, having work, having meaning. Despite brain being partly enemy, despite consciousness being hostile, despite mind attacking them, They manage, they fight, they survive, and so can you, with treatment, with tools, with help, with acceptance that brain might always be somewhat broken, somewhat hostile, somewhat enemy, and that managing that is enough, that surviving that is victory, that living despite that is strength. You can't escape your brain, can't leave consciousness, can't get away from mind, stuck with it, forever, inside, always. And when brain is enemy that's living with enemy you can't escape, that's managing threat you can't leave, that's surviving attack from inside, and that's hard, that's exhausting, that's constant work, but it's possible, it's survivable, it's what many people do, every day. Living with brains that attack them, with consciousness that's hostile, with minds that create suffering, and they survive, they manage, they fight, they live, despite brain being enemy, despite consciousness being hostile, despite mind attacking, they continue, they exist, they survive enemy inside, with help, with treatment, with tools, with acceptance, with fight, with refusal to let brain win, with determination to survive despite brain being partly enemy, forever. So that's what it feels like when your brain is your enemy, when consciousness attacks you, when thoughts hurt you, when mind creates suffering from nothing, when brain sabotages you, when you can't escape your own head, when enemy is inside, when threat is you, when consciousness that should help you is hostile instead, when brain that should protect you attacks you, when mind that should be ally is enemy, and you're stuck forever, inside, with enemy you can't escape, with brain that attacks, with consciousness that's hostile, with mind that creates suffering. If this resonated, if you know what it's like to be attacked by your own brain, subscribe to Raw Existence. We don't romanticize mental illness. We don't pretend brain malfunction is beautiful. We don't claim suffering makes you special. We just tell truth about living with hostile brain, about surviving consciousness that attacks, about managing enemy inside. Like this video, if you've experienced brain being enemy, if you've had thoughts that hurt you, if you felt anxiety your brain created from nothing, if you've lived through depression brain chemistry generated, if you've endured intrusive thoughts brain showed you without permission, if you've been stuck in rumination loops, if you've fought self-sabotage patterns, if you've needed medication or therapy or help managing brain that's hostile, and comment below. Tell me what your brain does to you. Tell me how consciousness attacks you. Tell me what tools help you manage hostile brain. Tell me if you've found medication that works, if therapy helped, if you're still figuring it out, if you're still suffering, if you're still fighting. I read every comment. Many of us live with brains that are partly enemy, with consciousness that attacks, with minds that create suffering. And being honest about that is better than pretending brain is fine when brain is hostile. Better than suffering alone, than sharing that you're fighting enemy inside. Thanks for 40 minutes, for sitting with truth about brain being enemy, about consciousness attacking you, about mind creating suffering, about thoughts hurting you, about anxiety and depression and intrusive thoughts and rumination and self-sabotage and sleep problems and not trusting your thoughts and needing medication and needing therapy and living with hostile brain forever. For acknowledging that brain can be enemy, that consciousness can be hostile, that mind can attack you, that you're not choosing suffering, that brain is creating suffering, that you need help managing enemy inside, that medication is treatment, not weakness, that therapy is training, not failure, that living with managed brain disorder is surviving, not giving up. The field is still out there. Still being field, still existing without brain that attacks, still continuing without consciousness that's hostile, still being without mind that creates suffering. Field just is, just exists, just continues, without enemy inside, without hostile consciousness, without brain that needs managing, just field. Being field, tomorrow, same as today. Without the burden you carry, without the fight you fight. Without enemy inside, you can't escape. But you have brain. Have consciousness, have mind. And sometimes brain is enemy. Sometimes consciousness is hostile. Sometimes mind attacks you. And you can't be like field, can't exist without brain, can't continue without consciousness, can't be without mind. Have to manage, have to fight, have to survive enemy inside. With medication when medication helps. With therapy when therapy helps. With tools you learn, with help you get. With acceptance that brain might always be partly enemy, might always need management, might always require fight. And that managing is surviving, that fighting is winning, that continuing despite brain being enemy is strength. Stop blaming yourself for brain malfunction. Stop thinking you should handle hostile consciousness alone. Stop suffering without help because you think medication is weakness or therapy is failure. Your brain is organ, physical thing, that can break. And treating broken organ is wise, is necessary, is survival. Get help, get medication if you need it. Get therapy if it helps. Get tools for managing enemy inside. Stop fighting alone. Stop suffering unnecessarily. Stop believing you should handle broken brain without treatment. You shouldn't. You don't have to. Help exists. Treatment works. Managing is possible. Surviving brain that's enemy is achievable. With help, with tools, with treatment, with fight. With refusal to let enemy inside win. You're stuck with your brain forever, can't escape consciousness, can't leave mind, stuck inside. With whatever brain you have, whatever consciousness exists, whatever mind creates. And when brain is enemy, you're stuck with enemy. When consciousness is hostile, you're stuck with hostility. When mind attacks, you're stuck with attack. But you can manage, can fight back, can survive. Can live despite brain being enemy, despite consciousness being hostile. Despite mind attacking, others do it. You can too, with help, with treatment, with tools, with fight, with acceptance, with survival. One day at a time, managing hostile brain, fighting enemy inside, surviving consciousness that attacks. Living despite mind being enemy. That's strength, that's victory, that's refusing to let brain win. That's surviving enemy you can't escape. Forever, with tools, with help, with fight. Field tomorrow because field today. You tomorrow because you're fighting today. Both continuing. Field easily. You through fight. Both existing. Field without enemy. You with enemy inside. Both surviving. Field just being. You managing hostile brain. Both here. Both continuing. Field without burden. You carrying weight of brain that attacks. Both tomorrow. Both existing. Both being. Field simply. You through strength. Through fight, through refusing to give up, through managing enemy inside, through surviving hostile brain, through living despite consciousness that attacks. That's you, tomorrow, because today you fought, today you managed, today you survived brain being enemy, and tomorrow you'll do it again.